It's like they don't want other people to get the secret. But of course, the point is, if Bitcoin is money for enemies, isn't the bigger idea Bitcoin is technology to make the world a better place? And if everybody adopted Bitcoin, then maybe we wouldn't be enemies. like at the point that a company, let's say JP Morgan, what's wrong? Do I mind if JP Morgan starts custodying $100 billion of Bitcoin? They'll pick up the phone, call all their clients will start buying Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin will go to the roof, and it'll demonetize $100 trillion of other assets. And that means that the cost of food and housing and clothing and gold jewelry will go down. And it means that society will get more rational. And it means that the effective ability to pay deficits with inflation will be deteriorated. Over the long term, when you look out long term, meaning when Bitcoin is $500 trillion of the economy, then the marginal ability of political systems to inflate the currency is going to deteriorate.
Because it's a check and balance.
Yeah, let me take a different tack at this. I do think Bitcoin is going to collapse currencies, but it won't be the US dollar. It's going to be the 100-week currencies. And I'd even probably take that back and say it a different way. I really feel like the next step in the economic evolution of the world is the United States dollar is going to collapse all 100-week currencies if it gets on a crypto rail. If we have stablecoin US dollars, I think that every currency other than the top dozen is going to collapse, and all those countries are going to dollarize. And I think that Bitcoin is going to collapse all the weak assets. We know enemy number one, gold. Gold is just an awful monetary asset, but it's not the only one. Investment properties and timberland and, buying up natural gas rights, all the things people do to avoid putting money in a savings account that generates 0% yield. They're all choices.
They're a bigger leap, though. I mean, the leap for a better currency is an immediate, obvious problem to people day to day. Someone in Turkey, I was reading Turkey, just the the everyday problems people are having now with the collapsing currency. They're skipping meals now because they can't afford food. There was a guy who put on, my brother pointed out to me, somebody put on Twitter the other day, he said, just been to Turkey, it's amazing, everything's cheap. And there was a guy who replied to him, he said, not for us. So there's that immediate pain point, like, I need that right now. Owning Bitcoin instead of owning property, like a rental property, isn't an immediate pain point to somebody. So that leap's harder for people to make.
Yeah, so there's two transformations. There's digital transformation of currency, and there's digital transformation of property. And the digital transformation of currency is something that will run very fast and very hard, and the Chinese clearly are concerned about it. Mm-hmm. The way the country is concerned about it is they're going to put in place capital controls, and they're going to be regulating the currency. It happens that Bitcoin has a role because Bitcoin and the Lightning Network is a way to move digital currency, right? Even when Jack Mallers talks, right, when he's talking, he's saying, well, what people want to do is send $25 from Chicago to El Salvador, so we convert it to Bitcoin, we wire it, and we flip it back again on the other end. What they're trying to do is they're trying to move the medium of exchange at the speed of light, and that's fine. But the path of least resistance is the strategy of most likely success, right? It's like, if you want to be successful, then you step back and say, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to give 8 billion people the strongest currency I can with the least amount of effort. And the strongest currency is the dollar, and the least amount of effort would be to put it on some kind of lightning rail or even a centralized finance system, put it on Facebook or put it on Apple. Right? The problem is just they don't go to 8 billion people. But everybody in the world wants that. And then the second thing to do is give them a property asset that they can hold as a long-term store of value. And if we focus on those two things, what won't we focus on? I don't think we need to topple every government in the world, nor do I think we need to rewire the accounting systems. Here's the problem with the accounting system. I've already pointed out that it is physically impossible to rewire them. For trillions of dollars, you couldn't do it. But let's say it was possible. It's still illegal, which means you have to topple the government, because the distinction between currency and property is a bright line distinction in the tax code of every nation. And the IRS determined in 2014 that Bitcoin was property and the US dollar is currency. In El Salvador, they made it possible to transfer Bitcoin without paying a tax. But in every other nation on earth, the bright line establishment is when you transfer property, you owe a tax. And that means that no rational investor would ever pay for anything with a property, and no company would be able to pay for anything with the property because you're accelerating a taxable event. So unless you're willing to default on your taxes to your nation state, you can't use a property as a currency.
And there you have it, a fascinating discourse on the potential transformation of our financial systems. As we conclude this discussion, we encourage you to ponder the implications of a world where Bitcoin isn't just a currency, but a powerful force reshaping economies and challenging established norms. The evolutionary view versus the revolutionary stance, the role of technology in the evolution of currency. These are concepts that may define the future.